Yo, what's up? My name is Not Petrowski, and welcome to a video guide on how to beat red. If you hate video guides, there's a link in the description below to a Google Doc that outlines everything that I'm going to say here, and it has some more details, so I do encourage you to check it out, probably regardless, even if you do watch this video. But otherwise, let's get into it. So to start off, we have Aerodactyl, who's the MVP of the whole team. Huge shout out to Rach for the recommendation for this one. Aerodactyl takes care of Charizard, Espeon, Pikachu, and sometimes Venusaur all by itself. Its build is somewhat important. We'll get into that in a second, but Aerodactyl is definitely the carry. Poliwrath then takes care of Blastoise and Venusaur for us. Gengar takes care of Snorlax. For movesets, we have Smackdown for Charizard, Crunch for Espeon, Earthquake for Pikachu, and Fly for Venusaur. We need all four of these moves, super important. Then Poliwrath has a moveset to sweep the E4. Most importantly on Poliwrath, we have Ice Punch for Venusaur. That'll 2-hit KO. Drain Punch for Blastoise and Belly Drum to make that go a little bit quicker. Gengar sets up with Encore. If you haven't used a Gengar like this before, essentially what happens is it swaps in on Body Slam, then Encore's Body Slam so it can set up with Nasty Plot, get +6 special attack, and then use Hidden Power to 1-hit KO Snorlax. For IVs, for all of them, I'm going to recommend that you go 20 plus in all of the bulk IVs. I say that because the AI will make decisions based on whether or not it thinks it can win a 1v1 against the Pokemon you have out. So if your Pokemon doesn't have enough bulk, there's a chance that the AI makes different decisions. So my recommendation is at least 20 plus, maybe 15 plus. You could potentially do the entire thing with 0 IV in HP defense and special defense. I just don't know the behavior. I'm not going to take the time to breed those Pokemon, so give it a shot if you're really on a budget, but I do recommend 20 plus there. Then for EVs, you're going to put EVs into the 2x31 stats that you need. Attack for Aerodactyl and Poliwrath, special attack for Gengar, and speed and the rest. Need to outspeed and he needs to hit hard, so those are the EVs. And then finally for abilities, natures, sorry. You want Timid on Gengar. I bred this one incorrectly. Jolly on Aerodactyl, it needs to outspeed the 120 base speed Pikachu, and Adamant for Poliwrath, it outspeeds Venusaur regardless, so don't need Jolly, just needs to hit a little bit harder, so we use Adamant there. For items, Aerodactyl needs Life Orb to be able to do enough damage for all four of these moves. Because Poliwrath is only using Ice Punch and its only damage check really is with Ice Punch, we need Never Melt Ice. And then lastly, Expert Belt boosts the power of Hidden Power on Snorlax. And for abilities, it doesn't matter what Aerodactyl and Gengar's abilities are. Water Absorb is necessary on Poliwrath, though. You're using it to swap in on Blastoise to absorb Water Spouts and Surfs, so that's important. Now, I did sort of lie earlier when I said you only need these 3 Pokemon. You do need to bring 3 more. It doesn't matter what they are. They just have to be swapped in to sacrifice to get a free switch in for Aerodactyl. And to demonstrate that, I've got a Rock Climb Bidoof here. I've got my Shiny Heatmor level 37 just to flex. And then I've got the Volcarona here just to bring up a point. You can technically fail the fight if you miss. Basically what'll happen is you can miss 2 flies in a row. And it's super unlikely that happens. It only happens if Venusaur leads. You can bring a Volcarona and then it makes it a 100% chance success rate. Entirely up to you whether or not you want to do that. You can also bring something totally different to deal with the Venusaur. And then it's a 4 Pokemon team. But here's just 3 that you need to win 99.6% of the time, I think. So with all that said, this is the team. The extra Pokemon that need to bring. Let's look at some fights. Okay, first fight. Let's get into it. Aerodactyl will always lead for us. We're hoping for Espeon, Charizard, or Pikachu, because that's a 1-hit KO whenever they're in. But we don't get that, we get Blastoise. So this just gets us to kind of step 2 of the strategy usually, which is swap into Poliwrath when Blastoise comes in to deal with Aerodactyl. We just skip that step. Blastoise is already in. We swap into Poliwrath. Blastoise will always use Water Spout or Surf in this situation whenever it's facing Aerodactyl. There it is. And then we know that Red's always going to swap out. We're going to click Ice Punch. This time it's Charizard. Red could have also picked Venusaur or Espeon. In this case, because we have Aerodactyl to do with Charizard, we're just going to click Ice Punch, then sacrifice swap. So let's get out of here. We'll bring in the Bidoof. Sorry, Bidoof. You're going to take one for the team here. Charizard actually does take chip damage here. from its ability. Doesn't make much of a difference because we're still going to one-hit KO with Smackdown. Shout out to Rainer on Team Rue for the recommendation on Smackdown. I was using Rock Slide before, which has a miss chance, which is bad. You don't want miss chances, so Smackdown's huge there. So that's the first threat of Aerodactyls taken care of. And then after that, whenever Aerodactyl's in, red always swaps into Blastoise. We're back in the same situation. We know that Water Spout or Surf is going to get clicked. We have Water Absorb. We're good to switch in. We know that Espeon and Venusaur are still up, so they're going to swap in one of the two. This time we get Venusaur. Great. Venusaur is the only one that Poliwrath can then 2-hit KO. So we're going to click Ice Punch. We do get the freeze. It doesn't matter, though. The second Ice Punch hits anyway. We outspeed. And that's Venusaur taken care of. And we get Espeon this time. So whenever there's an Espeon swap in, same thing applies. That's an Aerodactyl Pokemon, so we need to get Aerodactyl and clean. We're going to sacrifice the Flex Heatmore. Leave the particle effects on for added flex. And goodbye Heatmore. Back to Aerodactyl for a Life Orb Crunch. Now Blastoise will come back in, and this time, because all three of the normal swaps are out, we can set up on our Poliwrath. Though I do recommend, if you're running this for the first time, testing out the strategy, just keep clicking Ice Punch. You'll find out when Blastoise stays in. Blastoise is just going to keep clicking Water Spout or Surf, whatever it's locked in on. So I know what's going to happen here, so we're going to click Belly Drum, but it never hurts to just click Ice Punch to play it safe. Now we have +6 attack. We're just going to click Drain Punch. We're going to get all of our health back. At this point, it doesn't matter, though. We're going to take out Blastoise, and our use for Poliwrath has ended. We're just going to sacrifice it to get a free swap. I think we're going to get Pikachu in, and then it's going to Volt Switch to Snorlax when Gengar comes in. So let's see. Yep, here's a Pikachu. Doesn't really matter what we click here. There's the Volt Switch. Goodbye, Poliwrath. And hello, Snorlax. Now, important note here, if we just put in Gengar by itself, Snorlax will just click Earthquake on us. So we have to bait the Body Slam. To do that, Aerodactyl's perfect for that. It is immune to the Earthquake, so Snorlax will click Body Slam 100% of the time. So we bring in Gengar on the Body Slam for the free Encore. And then this is how the Encore works. You'll see here in a second. Set up one Encore, that frees us up to click 2 Nasty Plots. There's Nasty Plot number 1. And Nasty Plot number 2. It's important to keep count. You can also look down in the combat log. I definitely recommend you keep that up on these battles to double check what you're doing, and also look for that text indicator right there. Said Encore is ended, so we have to make sure to keep clicking Encore. That's an easy way to feel the whole thing. Now, if you lose track like I did here, we just did one Encore, so we can click Nasty Pot, and that'll get us +6. +6 special. We're maxed out. We're free to click Hidden Power Fighting. That's going to one-hit KO Snorlax. I'm not going to finish the fight so that I can keep testing other strategies at this point. But Gengar just dies to the Pikachu, and we're free to go to the next fight. And round 2, let's see if we get a different lead this time. We do, we get Venusaur. So this brings up the point that I made earlier. For the sake of expedience, I'm just going to click Fly here. If we miss, then I'll restart, but hopefully we hit 95% chance. You can swap in one of the sacrifice Pokemon to burn the grass gem. That gives you a free hit, meaning that Aerodactyl can tank a non-grass gem Giga Drain, then have enough health left over to use life orb boosted moves on the remaining Pokemon it needs to. Or you can just click fly and hope for the best RNG. But yeah, Blastoise is in, so we're going to click Poliwrath. And the normal cycle continues. We know one of those swaps is coming in. Well, Venusaur's already taken care of, so we know it's going to be Charizard or Espeon. Charizard this time. It's going to eat an Ice Punch just like it did in the last battle. And we are going to swap in one of our sacrifice Pokemon. Sorry, Bidoof again. And so you can probably sense the theme here. Basically, Aerodactyl deals with something. Blastoise comes in, Poliwrath Ice Punches until Venusaur is up, and you're just sacrifice swapping when any of those other threats come in. It's pretty straightforward. I definitely recommend that you do test it out a couple times before you do it on Charm. You can just log out before you faint the last Pokemon. Do it a couple times. Just feel it out. And then you're free to start a gym run after. So we do Ice Punch here because we know that Espeon is about to come in. And we need to sacrifice swap over. We get the freeze on Espeon. I don't recommend you try and burn the freeze. Every time I've seen the freeze hit on one of Red's Pokemon, they've been unfrozen or thawed out immediately on the next turn. And sure enough, there it is. That would have been a big risk otherwise. So just use the sacrifice Pokemon regardless, even if you do freeze. It's nice to have all that chip on Espeon, but yeah, the Wish just heals it back up. We have a little bit more, I guess. But Aerodactyl is going to come in here and we will just crunch. So Blastoise will come in, and this time, because we know that Venusaur, Charizard, and Espeon are all dead, that we will be free to set up with Poliwrath. So to demonstrate what I was saying earlier, just click Ice Punch a couple times. You'll know when Blastoise stays in. Sometimes it will switch out after a single Ice Punch. I don't know why the AI decides that, but click it a couple times. Doesn't really matter. It's locked into Water Spout. You're pretty free to set up. Let's third time for good measure. You could probably Ice Punch it down, though it may run out of Water Spout PP. But just click it a couple times, then Belly Drum. That'll put us up at +6 attack, at which point we can just Drain Punch, one hit KO. I believe that, let's say if Snorlax, I'm sorry, if Pikachu led and was taken care of earlier in the fight, then that would just leave Snorlax remaining at this point, and Poliwrath is able to then Drain Punch, one hit KO through Reflect at +6. If Pikachu is still alive at this point, you just sacrifice Poliwrath, let Aerodactyl deal with Pikachu if you need to, and then Gengar deals with Snorlax. In this case, the AI, I believe 100% of the time, will bring in Pikachu to Volt Switch, which then brings in Snorlax. We have to bait Earthquake. I'm sorry, we have to bait Body Slam. We can't have it Earthquake, so that's an important point to remember. So with this Volt Switch incoming, we will sacrifice Poliwrath and bring in Aerodactyl on the Snorlax. So it's always important to remember to bait this body slam, and then once Gengar is in, it's pretty much cake from there. Again, not going to complete the fight. I'm still testing things, so this is kind of a standard fight. We're just going to do the encore setup again, pretty straightforward. And that'll do it for fight 2. So that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I do really recommend that you read the doc. It has much more detail. It'll help you a lot more as just sort of a reference. I may go through sort of a decision tree for every possible variation, though I don't think it's that necessary. You'll get the gist of it. Definitely do some practice runs before you pop charms, that sort of thing, to get the most value out of the red fight. And then if you are popping charms and you need to decide which charm to pop, I have a charm calculator. You can input your gym rerun. It includes the red fight, the reward at the rerun value. It helps you decide what level richest charms to buy, or an amulet coin, depending on the market price. So check that out if you need it. And then finally, if you do need a Volcarona, I forgot to mention, definitely make it bulky. It's got a tank that Giga Drain and Sludge Bombs thereafter, so I ran leftovers. You really just need Quiver Dance. You really just need Quiver Dance and probably Fiery Dance. I think that's it. Just make it a PvP moveset and make it timid so that you can use it in OU if you want to. And that's it. Thanks again for watching and have a good one.